Hello everybody, and when you come into the video, type "I'm not broken." In studying about the dopamine trigger, response, action, whatever direction you want to go with it, I kind of always felt broken. So I thought, that's a good thing to type in the comments. I'm not broken. Do you ever get to feeling like your body doesn't work like everybody else's or something, and like, well, there must be something broken? And I do feel that way, though. I get to feeling like everybody else loses weight much easier than I do. And why I had you type in the comments, "I'm not broken," is number one, you're not. Number two, I want you to really feel that, and especially when we get done with the video, I want you to feel you're not broken. And number three, this statement: it's not about being broken. It's about learning how your brain works. Well, sometimes my brain takes a vacation, but our brain, the Bible tells us we're fearfully and wonderfully made. He doesn't say some of us are fearfully and wonderfully made. We all are fearfully and wonderfully made. And we're not made broken. We're made like we're supposed to be. I've had people ask me before, why on something. Well, why do you do it that way? Well, that's just how God made me. And the more I learn, the more I know that's the truth. That's just how God made me. So why do I like sweets better than oxygen? Because that's just how God made me. I'm not broken. Hey, Karen, my friend, come in. And what I have done is kind of messed up the system a little bit. You can take a brand new computer and get it messed up pretty quick. I'm not broken, but I have kind of twisted up the system. Question: have you ever reached for a snack when you weren't hungry? For me, it's like, yeah, of course I have. What were you? Were you stressed, bored, tired? It was there and you were there? Just divine coincidence? It's not about willpower. If we waited until we had willpower, none of us would ever lose weight. It's about the chemistry in our brain. Now, let me tell you, chemistry was a hard class for me. Some classes came easy. Chemistry came hard. Never was a good mathematician. I didn't blow up the chemistry lab, though, so I counted that as a huge success. I did have a few experiments go slightly sideways. I only caught one experiment on fire, so for me, that's pretty good. But our brain has chemistry. So we have a lot of powerful chemicals in our brain, and they're supposed to be there because that's just how we were made. And dopamine is what we're talking about tonight. In studying and reading and learning, there are all kinds. You go on Amazon. I got to going down rabbit trails on Amazon. There are all kinds of dopamine diets. One of the best books is Dopamine Nation, and we truly are a dopamine nation. And it comes down to addiction. And addiction triggers, dopamine triggers why we do what we do the way we do. And dopamine, it's a powerful neurotransmitter in our brain that does affect our eating habits. It affects how we lose weight, and it affects our emotional health. So that's a powerful little thing we've got running around up in there, but it's supposed to be there because it does have a job. Dopamine is one of the neurotransmitters that's called a pleasure chemical. And it's about your brain learning, craving, and its motivational system. Now, just relate that to weight loss. Now, dopamine works, this neurotransmitter works in a lot of other ways, not just in the food pathway. But tonight we're talking about how it works in the food pathway. It works in all kinds of addictions, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, whatever your addiction, food addiction, and it works in your pleasure center. And about food triggering that dopamine and giving us pleasure. I enjoy food. I love to eat. So when everything is in balance, anything can get out of balance. When everything is in balance, we eat with awareness, not compulsion. We feel motivated to make changes, and you're less likely to go to extremes. Now, Sarah calls this the roller coaster versus the rolling river. The roller coaster is like extreme limitations, binges, restrictions, extreme limitations, overindulging, and repeat over and over and over. That's the roller coaster. Up, down, up, and down. When we're in balance, we should be a rolling river. Yes, there's bends, there's little crooks, there may even be some rapids, there may be some slow spots in the river, but we're a rolling river. We're just peacefully meandering through life. So when we're out of balance, food becomes a way to chase that reward system that's in our brain, a way to chase a reward. It's called triggering a response. It can be even to numb ourselves. Motivation to eat well will drop. And then, this is the one that gets me on my toes, the cycle of guilt and shame. Now, I know more than just me, because I'm not the only one. We're never just the only one. But the cycle of, I ate that, now I feel guilty, now I feel ashamed, now I gained weight, now I feel more guilt, now I feel more shame. I should really restrict my calories. I restricted my calories too much and I'm really hungry, now I've overeat. It's like dominoes, and everyone pecks the next one and causes a response. So dopamine does play an important role in our weight loss, in eating disorders, and our whole reward, cravings, and motivation system, and the whole reward and behavior system in our bodies. And we're conditioned to this very, very young. So it is a neurotransmitter. It's a messenger in the brain. It's supposed to help regulate motivation, pleasure, reward, mood, attention, and decision making. Sometimes I have a hard time making a decision, and it's usually about piddly things. It's like, should I do it? Should I not? Should I not? Impulsiveness is also controlled by this. So it's not just about pleasure we derive from triggering this dopamine response. It's how we learn, how we make choices, how we feel motivated, and how we form habits. I'm not going to get into the deep parts of the brain. I even get confused, but our brain's got parts up in there. It's not just one glob. I don't know, mine was pretty globby today. But our brain has different areas that's in charge of different things. And dopamine is released from a certain part of the brain. And when it's released, it travels to another part of the brain. And you feel pleasure. Now, the signal is stored in another part of the brain. So it's released in one part. It sends another part of your brain receives the pleasure signal. The signal is stored in another part of your brain, and that's where you learn to repeat that behavior. So you can see how this is leading into food and disordered eating and difficulty following plans. And it says this pathway is the exact same pathway for drug addiction. And it made sense. It's like, okay, you do it one time, you feel better than you ever felt before, and the rest of the time you try and get back to that one feeling. Food. That's the same way I feel about some foods, except I don't have so much of that feel-good feeling. It's just in the moment, I just want more and more and more, because at one point, we'll say a cookie, one cookie released that dopamine, and my brain said, oh, this is nice. This cookie is exactly what you needed in this moment to feel whatever pleasure I derive from that. And right now I'm thinking oatmeal raisin, just to be honest. It's my cookie of choice. So I did that 2 or 3 more times. I ate a cookie, my brain felt good, and my brain remembered it. So after a while, the amount of dopamine released gets to be where it isn't enough to trigger all of that pleasure. So you're like, I need 2 cookies. And you repeat that, 2 cookies are good for a while. And before long, there aren't enough cookies. Does that sound familiar to you? It does to me. So that's how this reward system in our brain gets broken. We may have used food to self-soothe. We may have used it out of boredom, entertainment, numbing feelings, just because it's good. That's how we get to the point of, why am I even eating? And there's a list of the examples. It's a cue, which is like something happened, makes you think of a craving. There's an action, and it's called the reward loop. You go round and around and around. Okay, so using myself, my cue is, it's quiet, it's nighttime, I'm fixing to rest, pick up my book, gonna stretch out. My brain instantly goes, crave. What are you gonna eat? What are you gonna eat? What are you gonna eat? So examples, and I've heard a lot of people, even in Weight Watcher workshops, say this. When I sit down to watch TV at night, I want to eat. I want popcorn. So you have an urge. You eat it. You reward yourself by eating it. So your brain, what your brain has learned, TV equals food. And we taught it that. But we didn't know. So we can't be held responsible for what we taught ourselves when we didn't know. Because many of us learned this way back. Way, way back yonder. So what's another example you can think of on a cue to where your brain is going to go, I'm getting a craving, I'm getting an urge, I'm going to reward it, and your brain learns that means food. Now, I can give a really good example of my daddy. You can see so much better when you're looking at somebody else than you can yourself. My daddy wanted to eat the minute he walked in the house. It didn't matter if he had been gone 15 minutes, if he had been gone 5 days. As soon as he got home, he wanted to eat. Well, guess what? I learned that from him. So guess what? As soon as I get home, I want to eat. Now, that is one I have broken. Okay, when your dopamine pathway, remember, dopamine is chemical released, pleasure, trigger, your brain learns it, and you repeat it. Okay, when that pathway is dysregulated, just not, we boogered it up somehow, we can respond by binge eating. Okay, this is back to the roller coaster and rolling river. Over restricting, impulses, and perfectionism. Oh, golly, this is a toe stomper. I think I'm guilty of a whole lot of those. I've definitely binge ate. I'll full on admit that. I've definitely over restricted before. Have I eaten impulsively? Yeah, like without thinking. And then have I not felt perfect? Oh, yes. My reward system didn't work. Now, perfectionism. If I don't do that, that's your all in and all out thinking. If I don't do this 100% right, I might as well not do it at all. And that's a mentality I had to break up with. I had to learn that I may lose weight 4 weeks in a row, do the same thing day after day after day, and gain weight the next week. Doesn't mean I did anything wrong. And I was told, trust the process. And that's good. If I know that I followed my plan, my body will catch up. Now, I'm not going to get deep into the different kinds of eating disorders. I'm just going to call some names on what they are. Binge eating disorder is often a hyper-responsive dopamine system where the brain is overly reactive to food rewards. It's just like really sensitive to craving large amounts of food to trigger that pleasure. Anorexia, we've all heard of anorexia, and that is, of course, another altered dopamine function that makes food less pleasurable and maybe even causes anxiety. Have you ever had, I've not ever been anorexic, but I have had food anxiety because of the perfectionism of all in, all out. And that's back to that roller coaster that we need to learn to get off of, because we're either up or down, 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 down. So bulimia is the binge purge cycle. It plays into here too, because when the dopamine surges and you eat in response to that, and your body gets pleasure, but then the next feeling is guilt or shame, and you try to correct it with purging. So as we know, in most all things, balance is the key. Not too far over here, not too far over here. I use the analogy a lot, apparently, with my kids, and didn't realize it. The pendulum swings both ways. And one of my kids one time said, I know, the pendulum swings both ways. I thought, well, I may have overused that analogy. Balance is what we want. We don't want to be too far over here or too far over here, because we want this rolling river. We want to be at peace with food. I remember too, something Sarah told me one time it was an affirmation: God can use food to heal me. God is using food to heal me. Food's not my enemy. God can use food to heal me. So the ways to support a good dopamine level are almost exactly the same things as when we talked about GLP-1s 2 weeks ago. Almost the same diet. I was amazed when I read this. First thing it says, protein-rich foods. There's another little amino acid swirling around in our body called tyrosine, and it makes dopamine. So if you're low in dopamine, protein-rich foods, eggs, fish, lentils. I hate this one, but regular exercise boosts dopamine and mood. You know, I can sit and read a book for days and look at all the stuff I need to do. So obviously I can't sit and read a book. Well, I could, but I can't sit and read a book all the time. Laundry won't do itself. I may have an automatic washer, but it's not that automatic. I don't have Rosie off the Jetsons. So if the laundry's going to get done, I'll get up off my tushy and go do it. So I have a balance in that reward system. Laundry needs done. If I go put that load of clothes in, I can come back and read a few minutes. Then I'm going to go put that load of clothes in the dryer, put another load in to wash, and then I'm going to come back and sweep the floor, and then I'm going to sit down and read. See, that's balance. That is balance. Regular exercise, even if it's doing laundry, sweeping your floor, whatever it is, boosts mood. And I always feel better. Me and Randy have talked a lot about it. He said his mama said it, and I said my mama said it, and I've said it. Like when you've got a kid that gets up of a morning and it's like, I just don't really feel like going to school together. How many of us as mothers, or have heard as daughters, said, just get up and get going, you'll feel better when you get there? Yep, guilty. I've said it and I've heard it. And a lot of times it's true. When you just get up, get ready, get started, then you just feel better. Putting things off, procrastination, causes stress. Sleep. We know that sleep is important for weight loss. Dopamine production happens during rest. So if we're sleep deprived, our dopamine's going to get all out of whack. Stress management, chronic stress lowers dopamine. Gradual changes, which means no extremes. Extreme dieting interrupts your brain chemistry. So that's the best reason I ever heard. If somebody says, hey, let's try this fad diet, say, no, I don't want to mess with my brain chemistry. They can't argue with that. That's how we're made. So if anybody says, let's eat grapefruits and hot dogs for a week and see how much weight we lose, I'm going to say, no, my brain chemistry doesn't support that. So gradual changes, nothing drastic, nothing over-restrictive, and positive reinforcement. That means celebrating small wins, which makes you feel good. The dopamine hormone is released because you feel good. That's what the dopamine response is. And we're not broken. So our crumbs from the table, the Bible's got something for everything. We're going to look to 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it for the glory of God. So I need to do the pause, pray, and plan. I want to be able to eat 1 or 2 oatmeal raisin cookies and be at peace, and not eat 2 more and 4 more and 8 more. I want to be able to go to a function and eat a piece of pie. I really like pie. Eat a piece of pie and be content with that piece of pie and not come home and eat everything else because I only ate 1 piece of pie. Help me too, Lord. Amen, Rhonda. Help me too. So whatever we eat or drink, let's do it for the glory of God. Supporting our brain, if we think about it that way, by eating nourishing food is honorable to God. That's a sacrifice we can make for God. That is praising God. That's serving God to take care of what He gave us. So here's the big idea, and I love this, relating it spiritually, because believe it or not, God made us to have a dopamine response. We're not broken. I love that. It's not about being broken. It's about learning how your brain works. So dopamine, God made that messenger in our brain shuttle around up here through all of our brain to affect our motivation, our cravings, and emotional eating. We can learn to work with it and not against it. Now that sounds like peace to me. You like the frozen avocado, Lynn? Me too. It definitely saves me money in the long run, I'll say that. So think about that. Dopamine, God put in our brain to motivate us, to affect our cravings, to affect our emotional eating. And we've got to learn to work with it and not against it. I don't think it's wrong to crave a chocolate chip cookie or an oatmeal raisin cookie. I don't think that's wrong. I don't think it's wrong to eat 1 or 2. For me, it's wrong when I eat the package. So it's not about being broken. It's about learning how our brain works. And knowledge is powerful. It's a very powerful thing. So now we know this, and just start thinking about little things. Is this why I do this? Is this why I do that? And I found out with the dopamine, there's a reason. I'm not broken. This is just how my brain works. Now I've got to learn to work with it to make it work to my advantage. And craving success is a good place to start. All right, guys, I love you guys very much, and I'll see you over in the membership probably, on Fridays, Faithful Fridays. Yeah, I'll see if, I actually have a post coming up, Linda. It's already scheduled to post, I think in the morning. So be watching for a graphic to post about the healthy foods that help our brain work better. Oh, good, Gwen. I'm proud you learned a lot. I'm going to get the book Dopamine Nation sometime from Amazon. And we are a dopamine nation. We are driven by pleasure. Um, we want it, we get it, we experience pleasure. So we have indeed become a dopamine nation. So good night, everybody.